Okay.
Welcome to another Grand Old Players Theater .com company. Mark Manhart's my name, and this is Bonnie Gill.
We're here to talk about another faction or asset of our Grand Old Players, and that was vaudeville.
Yeah.
We started our first vaudeville in 1993. Local playwright Jim Fields wrote it, and it was so successful that we did some version of vaudeville for the next 5 years.
Yeah. And
it
later.
was great. It was great because you could really reach into the talent pool on the vaudeville. Yeah. So we had a lot of people who were and the other thing is you can use a lot of people, whereas in a play you're restricted.
Yeah.
But this way we could use people like Stan Widman. Remember Stan Widman? He was a Rotarian, but he had a beautiful voice. A beautiful voice. He was a real song and dance man. And another one was Gary Wallace.
Gary Wallace.
Gary Wallace
right.
performed way back in the 70s with the Firehouse Dinner Theater.
Yeah.
And the waiters there would do their own variety show. And he did that, plus a lot of acting in other theaters. But he reminds me of a Gene Kelly kind of figure.
Yeah. Well, I liked the dancers, the grand old dancers. Here we had women that were,
it was no old. It was just the grand dancers.
Yes.
I always thought it was funny because if you saw one of these women from the back, you thought they were in their 20s.
Yeah.
Because they had such great figures.
Yeah.
And then they'd turn around and you'd see that, no, they were in their 70s or more.
They used our lobby. We had a nice lobby.
That we put mirrors and a dance bar in so they could use that for practice. And they did a lot of special events.
Oh, around town. They were known around town.
Yeah. And then we had some real comic people like Charlie Green.
Oh, Charlie
Remember Charlie?
He was great to be on stage because, in vaudeville there's these stringing jokes,
Yes.
You got to just be able to follow the string about the chicken across the road. And he was superb at that. I was usually the straight man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he would also do some very touching skits with his wife, Jackie Green.
Oh, yeah.
And Helen Taverty. Helen and Ruth Nelson. Helen Taverty, Ruth Nelson, and Charlie Green were all masters at facial expression and pantomime. They could do a lot with the no dialogue, remember?
No dialogue, yes.
And then we even railroaded some people like Roland Peters, who was nowhere near a song and dance man. And we got him to do an Al Jolson bit one year. And another year, we paired him up with a young lady, and they did Charlie McCarthy and the dummy. Yeah. That was great.
Played in what was it, a villain, not a villain show, but a...
No, it was another vaudeville. I think that was something that came later. Ed Solomon presents. Yeah. That's one nice thing about vaudeville, the variety of vaudeville. You don't have royalties, number one.
Great.
It's fairly easy to stage.
Well, it's really easy to stage because a lot of times it's just those 2 or 4 people and that's it.
I guess as a choreographer, I don't remember it being easy because I can remember one time I said to them, if you guys don't get this right, I'm going to take all my clothes off and show you how to do it. And they go, yay. I don't know why I said that, but it was like...
It worked. Trying
to get them to count when they're not dancing. I mean, we had the dancers. They were good. But some of these men especially...
They could count, but their bodies couldn't.
Yes. I mean, to get them to do the train thing, it was just like, pulling teeth. But... That aside, when you weren't having those big production numbers, the individual skits were actually a dream to rehearse because you didn't have to have everybody there like you do in a play. You could just have these certain acts come and
Yeah.
rehearse those.
One of the shows was, I loved this show because it covered everything. The name was George, Cole, and the Duke.
Yeah, Gary
Now,
put that
explain
together.
that.
Well, it was George Cohan. It was the music of George Cohan, Cole Porter, and the Duke. And it kind of grew out of this vaudeville variety idea.
Yeah,
And one
that's
of
what
our
happens.
members, Gary Wallace, he actually wrote that, directed it, starred in it. He was very good.
We stole a lot
and,
of...
and I remember one I remember that was very visual that we did in vaudeville. Do you remember when Anita Bretman played the Canary
Oh,
in
yeah.
the
cage.
in the gold gilded cage or whatever? Oh my gosh,
She was
great, and she
Big
had
Bird. That's
a canary suit
Yeah.
on. She was really good. Yeah, yeah.
And there were shows on TV that you can work off of, because we worked off of Jackie Gleason's show once, you know.
Oh yeah, the
And,
skit with Jackie and his wife. I can't remember what his wife's name was in the TV show.
Alice.
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 Alice to the moon, Alice. How could I forget that? And the couple that played that were Tim Harrington and his wife Deb. They
Deb, yeah.
played it great. Yeah. And he got a pie in the face every night. That was fun. Fun.
And there was Laugh-In. I mean,
Yes,
Laugh-In
we
was
ended up doing a show
doing
of
a
laughing.
Laugh-In, which-
And back to when we were talking about Ed Solomon Presents.
yeah.
That was taken obviously from Ed Sullivan, and so you could cover different eras.
I tried to get the, what do you call them, the Beatles? I tried to get them, but
You couldn't do it, huh?
couldn't make it to Omaha. But so.
Another person for talent that we were able to use through these vaudevilles was our neighbor, Walt Graham. He
Oh,
was
the
actually, he
a
owned a
magician.
printing company, but he
Yeah.
was actually a working magician. He traveled all over the state. He went to the conference every year in Las Vegas. I mean, he was a professional
Yeah.
magician.
He could do
He
it right
was
in front of you.
really good. He
could
did
do
the
it
sleight of hand
right here,
stuff.
and you wouldn't be able
Right.
to figure it out.
And I think it was fun for him to perform in the
Yeah.
theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that was a real treat. And he liked coming to the cast parties too, so
Oh, yeah.
it was fun.
Well, if you ever get a chance to do a
One
vaudeville,
other thing I want to say about Walt Graham, because I think this is so indicative of what the grand old players are all about.
yeah,
Most of these people were in their 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yep.
And Walt Graham was working as a musician up into his 90s.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
remember he had a van and it had his magician thing on it. And I remember his daughter saying, "Will you please quit going to Scotts Bluff? Can we cut that off now? How about no farther than Grand Island," which is like 2 hours from us. Scotts
Yeah.
Bluff is the other side
it's
of the state.
500 miles
And
across
I
Nebraska.
just thought, yeah, these people they're like Energizer bunnies
Yeah.
when they're performing.
Well,
No age limit.
I'll give you 6 of them right off the top of my head that I would just love to be on stage with. So if you get a chance, be on stage with a vaudeville. Start your own vaudeville. It's a great way to begin theater for people who are young, people who are older. Great seeing you. Grand Old Players.
.org. GOPT Theater.org.
You get it.